Hello and welcome back everybody. Today we're going to do a router on a stick configuration. This is part of my Cisco Packet Tracer tutorials that I'm making for YouTube. So if you guys want to follow along or just watch, you're more than welcome. Right, let's get started. So I've gone already and made some preparations to the topology that we are working with here. Right now we've got two computers in two different VLANs that we will create. And we've got our switch and our router that will simulate the router on a stick. Right, let's go right ahead and connect these devices up. We'll do it this way and then this way. Everybody should be happy. Let's start with the configuration over at the router. So this is what the router would look like in real life. A nice little 1U device. You can always zoom in, have a look at what the router looks like. There's some expansion slots as well. We've had a look at it previously, but let's go ahead and look at the configuration. So this is a fresh switch with no previous configuration on it. Let's open it up nice and big for you guys so that you can see. Let's go right ahead and say no. Right. Conft. Let's first do a do show IP interface brief so you can see the interfaces that we are working with. So right now our configuration would fall under this interface over here. So let's just check gig 0 by 0 by 0 going to gig 1 by 0 by 1. Okay, so here I've made a little note that we say that create the trunk to and from router. So let's go and activate this interface, because otherwise the sub interfaces will be shut and then no traffic will be able to flow over it. Interface gigabit Ethernet 0 by 0 by 0. All that we need to do is no shut. Right, that has been changed to up, and we can say end. Conft. We go right ahead and we say interface gigabit Ethernet 0 by 0 by 0.1. So what we are going to do is create a native VLAN where the trunk can actually be communicated over. So let's go right ahead and do that. Now that that has been done, the state has been changed up and we've created this interface. So what we now can do is assign an IP address to it. IP address, what shall we make it? 192.168.1.254. Very creative. And we'll assign a /24 subnet mask. Configuration.1q, yeah. Encapsulation.1q1. Let's just question mark this, and we want to make it the native VLAN. And then we can go right ahead and add that IP address. We can say, well, the interface is already no shut, so that's fine. We can say exit. And then we can start with the next one. So the next one would be VLAN 100. So we can go and call it subinterface.100. So that'd be great. And then we can say encapsulation.1q 100. We are not going to make it a native VLAN because the native VLAN has already been set. So that is done. Then we can say IP address. IP address 192.168. Let's make it 100.254. 255.255.255.0/24 network. All handy dandy. So that's been done. We can exit out of here. And then we can start with the next one. So this would be 150. Okay, that's going great. So let's set the encapsulation to 150. So basically what it's telling it's to look out for the encapsulation tag for VLAN 150. And that has all been created. So let's say IP address. IP address. If my fingers want to work. 192.168.150.254. And we're going to give it a /24 network as well. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up for the router configuration. And what we can do now is a show IP interface brief, and we can not show. Okay, so what we've got here is the gigabit 0x0x0, which is up. Line protocol is down. That will be fixed later. As long as the status has been enabled and not administratively down like this one over here, then we are good to go. We've got all the IP addresses assigned here, and we've got the indicators for what VLAN it is on. It's always best practice to do like a .100. You can put it on whatever sub interface you want to, but it's best practice to show like sub interface 100 for VLAN 100. It's just so that people can reference it later on much easier in the network. Right, so that's all done. Let's move over to the switch. Switch is not powered on, so let's have a look at the switch and zoom in. So it's nice little switch. And we can drop in 2 power supplies because it's got a good redundant power supply. It's busy booting up at the moment. Whilst it's booting up, let's go ahead and look at what the physical topology actually looks like. It's really small. So let's say jump to, and this is our little rack that we've got here, what it would look like in the data center if the rack was empty. We've got our router and our switch, and then the 3 ports and the 1 port that is all connected. So let's go right ahead back here. This should now all be up. And we can say no. This is also a fresh switch. There's nothing configured on here. So let's have a look at show IP interface brief, just to know what we are working with right here. So a couple of things that we need to do. We've got these 3 interfaces that we have to work with here. So having a look, gig 1x0x1, that is going to the router over there, which is fantastic. 102 is going to the first PC, which is VLAN 100 and VLAN 150. Okay, cool. Good news, we're all good to go. So let's start with the configuration. Okay, so right here, first thing that I'm going to do is interface VLAN 1, and I'm going to say no shut. Okay, now that is turned on, and we're going to give it an IP address as well so that it can form a trunk relation back to the router. IP address, and it's going to be 192.168.1. Let's give it 1 below the other side. And we're going to give it a /24 network because it needs to be on the same network, subnet, exit, and then we can say show IP int BRI. Oh my word, tonight it's just not working for me. Do show, there we go, and it's up, and we're looking good on the VLAN. So let's go right ahead and create the other VLANs. Interface VLAN 100, and we're also gonna create 150. Cool, now we can say exit. The 2 VLANs have now been created. And let's go right ahead and configure the default gateway for the switch as well, so that it at least knows where to send its traffic. So we can say here IP let's have a look, question mark. There we go. That's the one we're looking for. IP default. Just gonna copy and paste it because it doesn't want to tab out, because there's also default network. Here we go, and we need to specify an IP address. So let's go right ahead and put in the IP address of the router, which is 192.168.1.254. 255.255.255.0. Ooh, why are you doing that? That's not right. It probably doesn't want the subnet mask. Yeah. Okay. Now that that is done, let's start with the interfaces. And the first interface that we are going to work with is the interface that is connected to the router. So interface gigabit Ethernet 1 by 0 by 1, and we can say switch port trunk, and we can say encapsulation, and we can say .1q. I'm tabbing all of this out in question marking so that you guys can also see how it all fits together. And you can go right ahead. When it says CR, you can press enter. So now that the encapsulation has been set, now we need to tell the switch port that it needs to be a trunk. And by that, what we can do is say mode, and we can say trunk. Okay, cool. Now that has been done, and the status has changed to up. So we're all good on that front. Let's move on to the next interface. Gigabit Ethernet 1 by 0 by 2. IP. No, we're not signing an IP address. What we are going to do is switch port. And we're going to say switch port access VLAN 100. Okay, so that's done. That's been changed to up. Okay, exit. No, is that all? We still need to say switch port access, and then we can also say switch port no negotiate. Okay, so it's been rejected anyways. Let's move on. Exit. Then we can move up to this one. We can say switch port access VLAN 150. Okay, and then we can say switch port mode access, and that should do it. Okay, so we can say end here, show run. So what we can do here now is go through the running configuration, and we'll see that this has been configured. This one here doesn't have all of the commands that it requires. Let's quickly go in there. Good thing to always confirm your configuration. Interface gigabit 0 by 1 by 0 by 1, and then we can paste these commands in there. End, show, run. Everybody makes mistakes, and this is why I always need to have your config double checked, if possible by someone else. Oh no, I've made a mistake. Okay, let's quickly fix this. conft. So before this configuration, I actually did prepare all of the configuration on a piece of notepad. I also advise everybody to always, if you're going to configure something, write it down first, get your configuration right so that you know that everything is right there that you need to do. And we are sorted. Copy and pasted. So what we have here is we created the trunk, we created the access, and VLAN 100 and 150. So let's go ahead and show run, and we can double check our configuration here. We've got the .1q, we've got the trunk to the router, the VLAN, so that's all sorted. The switch has got its own IP address, so what we can do from here is say copy, and we can say ping 192.168.1.254, which is the interface of the router, and that should come up. There we go. That is the ARP entry over there for the interface. So that's all good. That concludes the switch configuration. So let's go over to the PC and desktop, and we can add in the IP addresses. So we can do that, and then it will automatically highlight everything else here. I don't know why that came up. Okay, so that is all there, and then we need a default gateway as well. So this needs to be what we created on the router earlier, and that would be 254. And just for giggles, we can put it down in there as well. And we can close this, and we go to command prompt. We can say ping, and we can say 192.168.100.254, and we've got connectivity to the router. Okay, awesome. Let's have a look over here. Desktop. However, I'm going to make a slight change here. It's 150, 150. This would also be 150, and this would be we can make it whatever we want, as long as it's in the same network. Okay, so now that that is done, and we can go right ahead here, and we can say ping 192.168.150.254. There we go. So we've got full connectivity across our network. It's basically, but the two PCs won't be able to ping each other. Let's test that. 100, no, 100.1, I think it was. Yeah, there we go. So router on a stick, they've got access. You can later on actually separate the access if you want to. That will be in a later lab session that I will also be setting up. Alright guys, during this lockdown, keep labbing, keep your skills up, keep learning, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you guys learned something or didn't, leave a comment, a thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on whether you liked it or not. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching another one of my tutorials. Cheers.